What is up, Fence fam? So good to be back with you guys again after taking a couple weeks off. Glad to be back here. Glad you guys took time out of your days to join us. And I do mean join us. Today we've got Alan Bolding, the Trusted Fencing, out of basically the Oklahoma City metro area, right? Alan, you came in for the fourth contest of Win a Day with the Expert, I guess is what we're calling that. How'd it go? How's it been?
So it went amazing. I got more than a day's worth, honestly.
Good.
So once I got in, you've met up with us, and we've gone over so many things, and I've appreciated every bit of it. Like just having organic conversations about just whatever I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Whatever I wanted to ask. Like you've been gracious, and you've helped me so much.
Good. Good.
I'm very happy with.
Well, and that's kind of, we talked about this a little bit last night about, you follow kind of the fencing industry guys that are in the YouTube space.
100%.
And we talked a little bit about that's kind of why we do it, right? Is to help out other fencing contractors, help give them a boost into, leapfrog ahead of some of the struggles they might face, with the hopes of then in a few years, you might turn around and help another couple guys up behind you.
100%.
Sort of thing. Well, Alan, it's been really great. First and foremost, I want to tell you guys thank you for joining us. We're at the Stand and Seal Experts, the Expert Professional Wood Care Studios. Thank you guys, Ashley, Caleb, and the whole team for making this live possible. Appreciate that a lot. If you guys are listening to us on the podcast, welcome. I appreciate you guys listening to us on the podcast. This is what you're listening to is a recorded version of a live Q&A done on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Joe Everest. If you're got some time on a Saturday, you ought to stop by and check out and ask a few of your own questions. All right. Speaking of questions, let's get to the chat. Let's say hello to a few people. We've already got some folks here. Dylan Blanc, he was here early. He was ready to go pretty early. Say good morning, Joe, and the rest of the Fence fam. Looking forward to seeing everyone this week at Ozark Fence. Dylan, the Fence Prince is what we've deemed him. Can't wait to see you come in. Then we've got Stevie Boy Billings, always in the chat, always ready to go. Good afternoon, Joe, from sunny Dublin, Ireland. Stevie, I'm jealous because right now it is neither sunny nor warm or anything. It is cold and rainy here. And you're in Dublin, which sounds like more fun than Springfield, Missouri.
No, it definitely sounds like a good time.
We ought to do a meet and greet. That's what we ought to do. We ought to do a meet and greet in Dublin. There we go.
Cross the pond and have a good time.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Guys, as you're watching and listening, let us know you're here by dropping a comment in the chat, letting us know you're here watching and where you're from. I like to kind of piece together a mental picture of where everyone's watching from. So we know Dylan Blanc's down in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans, and we got Dublin. So it's pretty wide geography at the moment. Jonathan is here with us. Good morning, Fence fan from Ohio. Good morning, Jonathan. Appreciate you joining us. Bo DeVore. Bo, welcome. Good morning. Tapping in from Oregon. Very good. Appreciate you joining us. CNS Vinyl Fence says, been a while. Glad to see you guys. It has been a little while, and I am so glad to be back. We took a little bit of time off for some R&R, some personal time. We actually went on a business owner's trip to Mexico. So it was kind of like a vacation, but it wasn't because we're around other business people. I tell you what, this might just be me, but vacations almost drive me a little bit crazy if I'm not plugged in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's really hard from going completely plugged in and just in the minutia of the day-to-day of your business to just turning it off like a tap.
Yeah, I have a hard time just settling down, just period. Starting a business, being only a year and a half into it.
Yeah.
I'm always thriving. I'm always trying to take in as much content.
Sure.
So, it's kind of crazy being here in the studios because I've watched hours and hours and hours of this place.
Sure.
And then I'm seeing in the comments section.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of the names that I recognize. I haven't met everybody yet, but I'm looking forward to, Fence Tech's going to be in my neck of the woods this year.
It's going to be right in your backyard.
And so I have the opportunity in February to get out and meet all these guys. And
absolutely.
So, it's just
you've watched it from the other side of the camera. Now
I'm on this side of the camera. And so it's crazy. It's
very good. Speaking to somebody that you're going to meet in February, Dan Wheeler's in the house. Good morning, Fence fan from AFA University 22 in Texas. I'm jealous. I know. I say it every year. I want to get down there and get to this. This year it would have been overlapping schedules. I was actually on my way back from Mexico when everyone was headed to Texas. So it didn't work out, but
Yeah,
I want to go.
I went to Texas the week before and did a little training down
Okay,
there.
that's right.
And
That's right. That's right.
So I was down there last week, the week before, doing some training, and then I had the opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
So like there was no way I was going to get that. And I think my wife would kill me if I keep going.
Yeah. Very possible. Very possible. Yeah. So Dan's down at AFA University, and AFA University's got everything. I've been watching on social media. They've been doing everything from fence installation school to the operations school. I'm jealous, and I'm making plans to try to be there next year. That's because we've talked off air, I guess it would be, but yesterday we're talking that you're a member of AFA and that you've enjoyed being a member of AFA.
I'm very big about being a member.
Let's do this. Let's chat on that for just a little bit. So you're new into the business. What drove you, maybe not drove you, but what caught your interest in joining AFA as a new business owner?
So being a union member, being a part of an organization, having that background to, ask people questions, ask for some help. And so when I joined, they sent me a book, they sent me a USB with files on it, and so like I didn't necessarily have the ASTM standards right yet, but they sent me some information on some of that stuff. And I didn't have to I have a library now that I can access on the fly in my laptop. So when people ask me questions, I'm able to kind of start getting through there, and I'm not just stumbling and just trying to make things up as I go. I have something that I can show them that's tangible and say, hey, this is, ASTM standards. I'm part of the AFA. And so it gives me legitimacy when I'm building a fence. And I'm building a product for somebody. So it helps me sell.
And probably a little bit of comfort there that you've got access to resources. So if you do hit a snag, and resources being, like you said, the thumb drive has an immense amount of resources on it, but you also have access to the community. Of fencing professionals.
Correct.
So would you say, as a new member, for AFA, now that you've been in, how long have you been a member of AFA?
I joined last December.
Okay. So going on a year. We're about 11 months in. Worth it? Not worth it?
No, it's worth it.
It is.
I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of doing any kind of, group activity. Basically, I think when you rise the tide together, everybody gets better. I've heard a lot of guys say that, and so, I don't want to be one of those guys that, have my secrets and I don't want to share because you can only do so much with your time.
Right.
And so like, what you've experienced, you've been willing to share with me. And so I've learned from you, and I don't have to go through some of the hiccups or the mistakes because you've already experienced them. So I look at that, and then the next guy that's coming up, if I can tell them some things and I can help them grow their business, then it's just paying it forward.
It'll leapfrog the industry.
It does.
It really will. Well, and Dan Wheeler says this a lot on the podcast. If you guys aren't listening to Dan, you should be.
You should.
He says a lot that by helping these guys, these new contractors like yourself, maybe our ceiling can be their floor. Right. So we are going to elevate them to a position where we can push them on ahead of where we are.
Correct. And I'm just not a big fan of a race to the bottom.
Right.
I have 2 children at home. I have a wife at home, and I didn't go into this to just get by. I got into this so I could have the freedoms to do things with them and afford to do things with them.
Sure.
So that's why.
Well, and one of the things we talked about last night is this whole thing about secrets, right? I've got my secrets that I hard earned, I've spent my time and I made a bunch of mistakes, and now I've got my own secrets, and my secrets are not your secrets. Well, then if we ever got to the point where we would compare notes, we'd realize, well, my secrets are a lot like your secrets.
Right.
Are they really unique? Not, they may be tailored to our situation, but it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of these secrets are all the same. The 20% is how you dial it into your company.
Well, and collaborating together and getting better.
Sure. Absolutely.
While you get me the tour of Ozark, it works. Your wire works. When you were saying, your 11 gauge wire, you're like, and it's so close to 11 and a half. And I said, just take a little tape and you can mark it and identify it. And it'll help. And so it's the little things. You could have came up with a system real quick and fast.
Sure.
And you still will. You know what I mean? But that's just something to kind of get your gears going.
Absolutely.
Thinking. And so that way you can look at it quick.
Well, and that's the fair point is you had looked at that and gone, oh, well, the obvious solution is this. Well, my solution was, well, you read the tag and it tells you, well, yeah, but you got to get off the forklift. You got to go read. And so You're absolutely right. So, and that's an excellent point. Is we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to foster a community like this, where we've got everyone from someone that's been in business almost 70 years, someone that's been in business for less than a couple years, can have this conversation.
Oh, 100%.
And have this basically a two-way communication of knowledge.
Yeah. And that's just how we're going to grow together.
Absolutely. Say hello to a few other people. Fence Genius is here with us. Welcome. Hello from rainy Seattle. Always enjoying learning from your shows. Welcome. We can relate with the raininess today. CNS Vinyl says deer season for us, so we're taking plenty of vacation. I love it. So here in Missouri, it is still bow season. So we're not into rifle season yet, but there's a fair amount of people in the trees around here.
Those deer are moving though.
They are. Well, especially I had to keep my head on a swivel this morning. So we're going to get into weather talk here for a minute. It's been nice and warm for lately, but then last night it really sank. And this morning we went from yesterday, the high was 78. Today, I think the high's 54. This is when the deer are going to move.
Oh yeah.
So this morning, like I said, head was on a swivel because it had just stopped raining, but it was really cold. Like this is when they're going to
be moving.
Yeah. They're going to hop up and get moving around. They don't want to be cold. So deer are moving in Missouri, and that's Deer Talk at the Fence Expert Show. Guys, if you're joining us, if you're watching with us, let us know in the comments below. I really enjoy you guys coming and interacting with the show. Heck, you can even ask a fence question or two. We've had a few of those on the show, and we really enjoy them. I know we've switched the time up on you guys because Alan and I, we've got to get to this show called Wingapalooza. Now, we stopped by yesterday evening to see how the show was going. I guess I'll give a little bit of synopsis of what it is. Wingapalooza is a charity event that it's a wing eating competition they've got during the show, but it's also just 6 hours of eating wings, boneless and bone-in, and hot wings and garlic wings and everything in between. About 5 bands. Of course, there's some beer that may be consumed during this thing, but the big thing is we raise money for kids. On a typical year, we'll raise somewhere around $100,000. Now, this year, looking at the pre-ticket sales, I think we're going to have a banner year. So we had to do this a little bit early because Wingapalooza starts at 11. Now, typically we go in shows past, we've gone 10 to 12:30. That is also changing soon as well. We're gonna dial this back. We've heard the comments out there in the universe that 2.5 hours of fence talk is just a little bit too much content to consume. Now, I could sit here and talk to you all day about fence. We talked about fence quite a lot yesterday and at dinner and then first thing this morning. So
we have been talking about fence since Thursday night.
Yeah, that's true. But I also understand that 2.5 hours is a little bit much. So moving forward, we're going to change the Ask the Expert live Q&A to an hour moving forward. So now we're going to need your guys' help on this. On which hour do we do the live? During the day on a Saturday. So I've kind of played around with this, guys. If you've watched the show from the early days, we did it. Well, I'd say we did it I think we did it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and we did it from like 6 to 7 or something like that, or 5 to 6. And I think it was 5 to 6 on Tuesdays. Anyway, went well, but the family at home did not love it that I was coming home late each week. So we moved to a Saturday. The family, tolerates it a little bit better than on the weekdays. So it'll be on a Saturday. But which hour of the day should we do it? Within reason. I don't think 5 o'clock on a Saturday. I don't think you want me to be on this show 5 o'clock on a Saturday because I'm not in my best form. I'm on my personal time at that point. So anyway, probably Braden, what do you think? Put out a poll. Put out a poll for. We need to get you a mic so that when we talk, they can hear you. Yeah, there you go. So you think a poll, though? Put a poll up on the YouTube community tab.
Yeah, we could do it in the community tab.
Can we do it on the live? Is there a poll option in the live, maybe?
I don't know. You might need.
I feel like I've seen.
You might need to have a plugin for that.
That's probably a plug. You're right. I've seen some shows do it, but I bet you're right. That's a plugin. So anyway, guys, keep your eyes out. There will be a poll coming out shortly in the communities tab of the YouTube channel, asking you what hour should we do it. We'll take it under advisement and let you know. You'll know when it gets scheduled. We'll probably post in the community tab when you can expect it, but it'll still be a Saturday, likely in the morning, just because Saturday mornings tend to work out a little bit quieter around here. So, yeah. Speaking of people we're going to see this week, Kenny Dugan, the Stain Man. Morning, guys. Looking forward to next week. Weather looks promising. It really does. So next Thursday is supposed to be warm. I think it's in the 70s. Chance of rain, as always. I don't know what it is about these stain trainings. We do these staining universities, both in Nashville is the big one, and then we do satellite trainings as well. It rains almost at every single one of them. I'm trying to think if we've done one where it hasn't rained. I don't know that we have. So Philly, it poured. Greensboro. Didn't it rain in It rained in Greensboro. Yeah, because the roof was leaking. Yeah, it rained in Greensboro. Yeah, so rain just follows us around. So as usual, Kenny, chance of rain on Thursday, and then Friday's gonna be cold. So we're gonna figure this in, but it will happen. No snow, no ice, no nothing like that. So it looks like it is gonna be a pretty good week for training. And of course, you guys are coming in on Wednesday. So if you guys are coming to staining training, the Staining University in Springfield, we're having an open house for you guys here at Ozark Fence Wednesday. So if you get in a day early, you're more than welcome to come by from 12 to 3 here at Ozark Fence. We'll open up the doors and let you look around and poke around and see what it looks like to operate this place. And of course, make our staff available to ask any questions, and kind of similar to what you did today. Now, they'll be getting work done on Wednesday, but so what you experienced yesterday was our final Friday, which is where there's not a lot of scheduled work. Actually, there's not supposed to be any scheduled work on the day. Now, you watched them put together a few gates that we had last minute for a customer, but so you really had direct access to everyone. Is kind of what our goal is that you have direct access to everyone.
And it was amazing. I mean, you set me down with everybody. You let me ask any questions. I got the one-on-one time, and then they told me, they'll email me some answers, because I'm asking all these questions.
Of course.
And so it was amazing to see your operation.
Good.
And it is amazing, like, to see how happy everybody is to work for you, and like, you have such great culture here, and like everything that like I want to grow to,
Sure.
And so it was an awesome experience.
Well, I'm glad to hear that feedback, because we put a lot into it. Obviously, before you guys came, everyone knows that everyone's an open book.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that no questions are out of bounds. There's no doors that are locked around here that have secrets behind them, anything like that. Everyone knows that any question that gets asked gets answered, sort of thing. So I'm glad to hear that it resonated on your end.
Very much so.
That you got a lot out of it. But no, I mean, company culture is huge. It's something that I've started trying to learn from Matt Warner from Empire up in Nebraska, is because if you've heard him talk on company culture, like he is a person you want to try to get to. His culture is a place that I'm trying to get to. So I like to hear that we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. But so to bring it back around, if you guys are coming in for Staining University Springfield and you're coming in early on Wednesday, we will be open from 12 to 3 for a open house here. Can't wait to see you guys here. Sherry, what is up? Fashionably late, checking in from Funkytown. Always good to see you. Hey, did you get connected with AFA? I remember we were talking, the last interview we had was with Michael Reed, and you'd mentioned trying to get in touch with AFA. Have you got in touch with AFA? If not, how can we help you? Can we help you get in touch with AFA? It's no secret that I'm a fan of AFA. I mean, I've seen what they've done in our business. And so that's why I try to, full transparency, I serve on the AFA's Midwest chapters board. I'm also on a committee for the national board. I'm on the marketing committee for the national board. But so I enjoy AFA, but the reason I'm involved in it in those capacities is because I believe in it. I really believe it's an organization that can help everyone, that they've got something for everybody. So I was glad to hear that you were already a member. Let's talk for a quick minute FinTech's coming to your backyard.
It's in my backyard.
What great timing.
I know. Perfect timing. so like this winter, I've gotten to do all this training that I've gotten lined up, which has just been, it's all been like perfect timing. Work has slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had time. It's not like I'm trying to figure out how I'm getting this project done. I've had the time. And it's funny you say that. It was like my staining time rained all day.
It never fails.
It did not fail. There was a break in the window for like 30 minutes. And
Yep.
so we did get to do the staining,
Sure.
but I'm looking forward to after this. I'm going to go visit with Sean King.
There, absolutely.
So I'm gonna do his training.
Very good.
And so
very good.
Then when Fence Tech's going to be, and then next year I'll probably look at doing like the business owners class.
Sure,
the
sure,
week
sure.
long.
Yep.
I definitely want to dive into the operators. I want to
Yep.
get into the design side and everything. Being an electrician by trade, and I'm working at getting my contractor's license.
Yep.
I'm really looking to grow my business, not only but by staining, but I'm looking at building fences. I'm
Sure.
looking at doing the automatic openers, and so
Absolutely.
I'm really trying right now to build the foundation and get all the wealth of knowledge I can,
Mhm.
so that way when I go to sell the products, I have.
Very good. Yeah, you'll have to check out. So in February, when FinSec comes to Oklahoma City, they'll have some training there at that event. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at exactly the schedule, but they usually have some like gate operator type courses. Then they have some coursework. They do some testing if you've already done some coursework. Typically, they have the proctored testing there. And then they've got just a whole host of educational series there before the event gets started. So huge deal. And you had mentioned going to, so actually what they're wrapping up right now, which is AFA University in Texas. Yeah, they hold a whole host of different trainings there.
And I think they also do like a mock trial at FinStech is what
Yep,
I was told.
I believe that's right.
And a lot of people don't realize the dangers,
Yeah.
And so like I'm just interested in like the whole aspect.
Yeah, being a fly on the wall in that room.
Right.
Yeah, see what that's like.
So,
absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to
And you're talking about going down the rabbit hole of gate operators, and it is a rabbit hole. There's a lot of different accreditations that come with gate operators.
There really is.
Which makes sense, because if I'm installing or if I'm having installed a machine that can move that much weight that quickly, I want the guys to know what they're doing. I want to know that it's designed correctly. The design includes safeties so that it's not going to, close on my vehicle. It's not going to close on my kids or their friends, that sort of thing. That it's
correct.
It's a safe operating operator. Does that make sense? I guess so. But yeah, you can really, really, really go down the rabbit hole on that.
You can.
And they also get into the installation practices, the troubleshooting, that sort of thing. So, and then you've got the whole other side of the house, which is the operations, the fence owners kind of category there, the fence company owners. You can spend a lot of time going through these courses.
You very well can.
But you come out as a better rounded professional on the other side.
And that's what I'm trying to grow my business as Trusted Fencing, is that we handle basically your perimeters, your gates, your access control. So
very good. Very good. Do you know this character? Blake Thomas says, "Hey, Alan."
I do. He's a distributor out of Oklahoma City.
Very good.
I do some business with those guys.
All right.
I'm set up as one of their installers. So
bingo. Well, Blake, welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Jeremy says, "No, I still need to reach out." Jeremy, it has been like 2 weeks. You need to reach out. If you need help reaching out, let me know. I can get you in touch with the right people. But you really. This is going to sound like some sort of sponsored video, but it's not sponsored. It is sponsored, but it's by the Expert Professional Wood Care, not by AFA. I just really, really do believe in AFA and what they do. Yeah, and I kind of struggle sometimes in these Facebook groups, because I understand there are people out there that believe that they haven't gotten the full value. In their mind, that's true. They said, well, I joined and I paid my fees and just didn't get anything out of it.
Well, it is what you put into it. That's with anything, correct?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree.
If you were to purchase a streaming service and you never turn that streaming service on, right?
Right.
You got nothing out of it, but you still paid for it.
Yep.
And so
it's a great analogy.
I joined the AFA, and Nathan Downs is down the road from me.
Yeah.
I've reached out to him a few times. He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, you come by anytime.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping to come up on my way through Tulsa to here. I was hoping to stop by.
Sure.
But it wasn't going to happen. I didn't have the time frame, but I'm looking to do that. And Dan Blanc, he actually is the one that got me to join the AFA.
Very good. Very good. Shout out Dan. Dan.
I reached out to Dan Blanc. He got me set up with my media company, and
good.
I reached out to him. I've reached out to like all the guys in the fence industry, and it's been amazing how much help everybody has been. And so like I have been very blessed by I guess I've had to ask the why, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure,
how can I do this?
sure.
Why can I do this? Or how can I do this? Or I've had the curiosity, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and everybody's just been so willing to help. And so that is something that I'm looking forward to being one of those guys on the other side of the table now.
Absolutely.
Is
Absolutely.
that when somebody asks a question, I can answer it.
Well, and that's part of what we talked about last night, right? Is that's why we being the guys that are on these platforms talking about fencing, whether it's YouTube or that Dan and Cannon have a show on Facebook weekly. Dan Wheeler has the podcast. That's why we're doing, and I don't want, when you start naming names, you got to name them all. So that's why Mark Olson has his show. Am I missing anybody? I hope not. Sean King. This is what I mean.
Yep. No, I got you.
But that's why is when you look at that group as a whole, what do these folks have in common? That's it.
Yeah.
Is we're all trying to make this industry better by bringing those behind us up. Yeah. Right. The guys are just getting started, or anyone that's struggling. I don't want to say those that are behind us, because a lot of the emails I get are from established companies. They say, hey, have you ever seen this?
Right.
Have you ever, dealt with this? Do you know anybody that's dealt with this? Could you talk about this on the show and see if we can get any feedback from the group on it? And that is absolutely our whole point, is trying to make the industry better, because we operate in this industry.
No, for sure.
Like, it benefits everyone if the industry as a whole is stronger, and if it is made up of more companies that are following best practices.
Correct.
That are pushing in the same direction.
It's kind of funny. I have a direct competitor in Moore, Oklahoma, and I've reached out to him numerous times.
Sure.
And he's answered me. And we don't, just because we're direct competitors doesn't mean that we can't be cordial. We can't talk.
Right.
We can't help each other. Like, it's not like I want to come over and be like, hey, what are you charging?
Yeah, right.
That's where it's one of those things. We're like, go figure your own thing out there. But when I reached out to him and I said, hey, I've installed Japanese cedar pickets.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, that's a problem.
Well, be careful. Be careful.
And so, like, I've made it a standard at my business that we don't install those no longer. We do Western Red. And so that's one of those things about bettering my business and growing. And
sure.
So Blake, I've went into his store and talked to him about Vinyl Fence, because it's a Vinyl Fence warehouse. And so they've told me, like, how to install it. I showed up and I'm like, I have no clue. Like,
what do I do?
What is this product? Like, how do I sell this product? Like, what is this? And so he's like, here's a sample. Here's this. Here's that.
Nice.
And I brought back a job. And I'm like, sell me this vinyl. And so, he took the time out of his day. And his father. And so, like, I'll email them and they'll email me back stuff, And so it's just, like I said, it's just been awesome. Everybody's been so helpful.
And the hope is that the guys that we help then turn around in a year or two and start helping others.
Yeah.
Right. Just because if we can get, a group that may be, 5, 6, 7 individuals now that are on the platforms, if we can make that 70, if we can 10x it from 7 to 70,
right.
Imagine what this community would be. It would be that much stronger. It would be that much better of a community to operate in.
Yeah.
If there's a more free flowing exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
It's when in my dad's era, it was very much my secrets are my secrets and your secrets are your secrets. Yes. And I don't think we saw the industry flourish under that. I think we probably all learned a lesson that, because here's the problem, is we're all making the same mistakes then.
Right.
If we're all keeping these really close to the chest, then when I make a mistake, I don't tell anyone about it. I don't want anyone to know about it.
Yeah.
Well, then you follow 6 months later and fall in the same trap.
Correct.
And I go, oh, seen that. Well, what if I had fallen into this pothole or whatever it is and told you, said, hey, watch out. There's a pothole over here and you might find yourself in it. And then when you saw it, you knew it and you avoided it. Well, now we're all further ahead. And then maybe you say, hey, listen, I fell in this other pothole that you may not know is coming.
Right.
Well, now we're all better for it, right? And it's to your point. A lot of us say it, the rising tide raises all the ships. And that is absolutely the truest form, I think, of what's driving us all.
Yeah. So,
and we talked about the industry as a whole. So you come from, a different industry where they still play stuff pretty close to the chest.
They're very toxic. You know, they know their best ways. They, you know, and you get in their forums and they're, you know, it's a big competition of who knows what, who knows who this, that, and the other.
Sure.
You know, and there's a lot of negativity, and so like I'm just tired of that kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm tired of going out and telling somebody this is how you should do this per the NEC, and somebody else come behind and they don't care about the NEC, they don't care about a license, they don't, you know, and they say they can do it for half the price.
Uh-huh.
And so it's really hard whenever you're dealing in those kind of environments.
Sure.
And not to say that fencing doesn't have those guys as well,
Right.
but it just seems like it's easier to sell to people, and they also see the installation,
Sure.
and so
Sure.
they see the investment. It's hard to tell somebody they owe X amount of dollars and they don't see why or how you've made that light turn on.
Right. They don't see all the
They don't-
infrastructure behind the drywall and all
Correct.
that.
And all the struggles you had to go through. And so I've just found it easier to sell. I enjoy being outside. I don't have to deal with nobody's house or their business, or, you know, I enjoy putting in my AirPods and just like doing me, listening to everybody's podcast or or their videos, and so
Sure.
I just enjoyed it.
Well, it was interesting. We talked about that over dinner last night, just the differences in our industry versus others. And, you know, it's, I think we see it as a long road ahead to getting everyone on the same page as to, again, the open exchange of information and all that. But I think we're further ahead than we think.
Oh, you are.
Right. That was kind of my takeaway, is that, okay, so it might not be as bad as we think.
Yeah.
You know, there are worst case scenarios out there.
There is.
Sort of thing.
And there's always going to be those people that are stubborn and they want to do it their way. And
Sure.
they're going to be stuck in, you know, I'm a big fan of driving my post.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some guys in my area that will absolutely not consider it. You know, will you get the same if you drive a post 2 foot in the ground as if you set it 2 feet in the ground? Well, no, because you got the concrete base. But, you know, I drive mine 4 feet in the ground.
Sure.
You drive something 4 feet in the ground and have 6 feet out.
Yeah.
It's not going
Good luck.
anywhere, you know? And so I can stand behind that post and I can not worry about it.
Well, you're getting ready to open up a can of worms.
Oh, I know.
Because
I also dry set, you know, I you know, I'll wet set, I dry set, you know, or, you know,
I think
I go through all that.
My stance on this whole thing, and you guys have heard me say it before, is like whichever method works best for you, that you can repeatedly, you know, perform in a high level of integrity. That's the one.
Well,
right? That's the one for you in your area.
But not every situation, you know, you can do certain things.
Sure.
You know, I can't drive 4 feet down if I have, you know, utilities close.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to.
Yeah.
So if there's utilities close and I can dig down 27 inches and there's moisture, like they water their grass all the time, there's moisture there, then I have no problems. You know, I'll just dry set it and go about my day. If I get there, they don't take care of their lawn, there's utilities there, then I dig down. I'm going to wet set that particular post because it makes sense to. Right?
Sure.
So like I think as the expert, as the professional, you know, I take in consideration of where I'm at, what I'm doing, and then I go with the procedures that I feel best in that situation.
Yeah, the correct tool for that particular job.
I'm the one that's standing behind that, you know, for the warranty call.
Well, that's the thing. So the analogy I use is you can drive a screw with a hammer.
Yeah.
You could.
You can.
Now, is it the best tool for the job? No, but you can make it work. And I think that's a great takeaway, is that I think we can agree that not all jobs take the same tool.
Correct.
You know, so being open to, you know, other methods, you know, if you've always used the dry compaction method, but maybe you look at a job and it would be best for a wet set, that you're open to that conversation. I think that makes you a more rounded professional.
Yeah.
Now I understand that experience is king. You say, for the last, 3,000 years, my family has done it exactly like this.
Correct.
Okay. You have a great track record of doing that, but at least be open to looking at a job that has no utilities. It's wide open. Maybe you drive that thing.
Yeah.
And then that way it gets you on the job and off the job a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
You're not hucking around concrete. You're not doing any of that. So being open to the possibility is a good first step.
Yeah, I built like 300 foot of fence in like 2 days, no time. You know, stick built. You know,
which
is insane on a hill, slope,
massive.
You know, but I was able to go in there one day, drive all those posts, and the next day, I was up there hammering and going.
Sure.
Now, granted,
sure.
those were not short days; those were getting
Yeah,
there.
they were full
sunrise,
days.
and then leaving at sunset.
Yeah.
But it was a ways away from home. But I wanted to get the job done.
Sure.
Sure. And
yeah.
I did take a day and pre-stage everything. So technically 3
Okay.
days.
Okay.
So, but I've also had it where I did like 48-foot of fence and it took me like 3 days, but there was utilities everywhere. I couldn't go fast. I had to call Okie because, and so, you never know,
Yeah. Until you're in the middle of it. Speaking of somebody else we're going to see this week, Ashley Roth. Good morning. Welcome. Can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. Caleb and Ashley and the Stand Still expert, the expert professional wood care team is coming down as well. Like you said, now, all right, guys, we need to talk. Ashley had shared with me. Now, this event has been open for quite a long time for registration. As a fencing professional, would it shock you to know that more fencing people have signed up in the last week than they have the last month?
No, I think that's just people in general.
She said, Joe, I had to reopen the registration because in the last week, there's more people sharing it, commenting, asking is it open, that sort of thing.
Well, and I think to be fair to them, though, if they're smaller operations like myself, they might be struggling through getting projects done or finding the funding,
and that's fair. And knowing where your schedule is going to be, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
And so, it was a little bit of a risk because we had this figured out a month and a half ago,
right,
and so like we kind of had to like figure out
sure
timing and everything on this, and so
that's fair. It's fair.
It's
but Ashley just sent me let me actually read you the message. Let me see. And that names will be redacted to protect the innocent. Maybe actually she didn't name any names. So let's see if I can spell her name correctly. Okay, I think this is okay to read. She goes, just a heads up, we're going to have a chat with these fence people. So they're just now sharing and resharing your event. I've opened the registration back up. But that's a fair point. It's probably people in general, probably not just fence folks. Correct. But we do like to wait till the last minute.
Well, but be happy that there's people that are wanting to attend.
Fair point.
Because
absolutely a fair point.
Because some of the wholesalers, or supply houses have events, and then I've shown up and there's like nobody there.
Sure.
So
well, I think it comes down to value. Like the big thing at these shows is we're not trying to sell anything, and I think enough people have been to one of these trainings to know, because some of those trainings are a bit of a sales pitch.
Oh, 100%.
And to get the training, you actually have to sit through a half-hour sales pitch of the company and what they're selling or anything like that. Where I think enough people have been to these trainings to know that's actually not what it is. I actually had to twist Caleb and Ashley's arm a little bit to make them talk a little bit more about the product. I use it. I enjoy it. Like you should really tell more people about this.
Yeah.
Well, they'll find it. Like, I know, but it's actually like an anti-sales pitch. If anything, it's a lack of a sales pitch. But so I think that's why we're seeing success in this, is that people realize that we're honestly just coming to get a group of people together to train them in what we feel like is the best way in our area. I talk about marketing, about video marketing. Yeah. Obviously Caleb talks about staining. Kenny Dugan talks about chemicals. It's just a well-rounded group of individuals who legitimately just want to help.
You want to get into a rabbit hole of just like reading, like he has some stuff out there.
Kenny?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. He is the mad scientist.
I have never like actually spoke to him or texted him or nothing like that, but like every now and then I'll just get like tangents of like reading through some of his stuff, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, just his tests.
Oh yeah.
I love watching his video tests. It's like anytime I see Kenny Dugan post it, I'm like, well, I'm going to settle down and get into this for a minute. But that's kind of the point. I think people are realizing that that's what this is legitimately wanting to help. Now, I will say this. The room is limited to 50 people. The registration is limited to 50 people because the room will only hold so many people. So just know that. Like if you're planning on driving up, you might see if we can register first, because I don't want to turn anybody away, but the room is what the room. The fire marshal says the room will only hold so many people. So you gotta respect that. But as Ashley says, the more the merrier. I agree. But we can only fit so many people in this room. So 50 is going to be our cutoff on that. Tony Rivera. Howdy, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Just like I told you, this hour's flying by.
It is.
We are scooting through this.
I just noticed it's like 9:42 or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we are 45 minutes into into this. It's going to take some getting used to, folks, because I'm going from 2.5 hours. I'm trying to condense it into an hour. So we're going to have to be just a little bit more mindful of our time, I guess. But so let's talk about this. So we did a video right before we went live.
Yep.
Because we're talking about the importance of video marketing. This is what I love to do. Obviously, I believe in the power of video marketing. So we sat down and just recorded a video real quick.
Yep.
And we covered the 5 foundational pieces of content are the who, what, when, where, why of the business. And we actually crammed all those into one video.
We did.
How painful was it?
Well,
have you recovered yet?
I have.
Okay.
I did. And I watched your video before coming down. I told
you
I had it on my whiteboard. Like,
yep.
When I get back, I'm going to start making some videos, and I'm going to. And you're like, no, let's just do it now.
Dude, we've got the stuff set up. Let's do it.
And so we stumbled a little bit. I stumbled, but
so did I.
But it wasn't bad at all. I'm looking forward to get it to Benji, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to get it on my website. I'm looking forward to get it out there to the masses. And like I told you, I'm looking forward to start getting the videos out there and start getting more, into this. Add another hat to the business.
That's right. You're now the content producer as well.
So
absolutely.
But it wasn't bad at all.
That's the thing. We also recorded an interview where if you guys watch the channel, we talk about people's fence stories. And then one of the things we're actually what we were talking about was getting started in the business, legitimately getting your EIN, getting your insurance. And we talked about, people think it's really intense, or maybe it takes a long time to get through the paperwork. And the point was, it really doesn't.
No, it's not bad at all.
It's pretty quick and painless. I would say the same thing about creating content, right? I think there's a lot of folks, and I understand it. It does seem daunting, right? To set up a camera and to talk in front of the camera about yourself feels kind of weird. But it's not as hard as you would think.
No, I mean, really, it's not. It's just doing it.
Yep.
It's just adding another task.
Yep. It's just doing the thing. Absolutely agree.
And I think honestly, like I've consumed so much content over the last really like 5 years because of the podcast I've started listening to back in the day where I found you.
Sure.
And then all those kind of business groups. And then I've narrowed it down to what business I particularly wanted to be in.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So now I'm into that. And then I've watched all your guys' videos.
Sure.
And now I feel like I'm at the point where I want to start generating some content. Now I feel like
absolutely.
I'm at the point where I can start adding to and helping. And so
absolutely,
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and we're seeing more of that. I don't want this to sound like no one's doing it. So someone that pops out of my mind is Victor Vasquez is in the Facebook groups producing a ton of video and
money.
Photo. Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is we need more guys like him that have experience, that are willing to share that experience. And it's not just video. You also see him posting that says, "Hey, here's some customer interactions that I've had," or here's a contract or a job site I just laid out. Here's what I give my guys. Here's what that looks like. So he's doing his best to share his experience with everyone.
Yes,
and he very much has the right mindset of, this is how I do it, and it works for me, but it might not work for you. But you might be able to pull out one golden nugget out of this. You might be able to take it and apply it to your business.
Right.
That is exactly what we need more of.
Yes.
So we need more victors. Absolutely. So if you're out there and you're thinking about making content, start in the Facebook groups,
right?
Because it's kind of, well, I don't want to say it's a safe space, because some of those Facebook groups are a little crazy, but at least you're still around your peers.
Correct.
Right. So you could start with video there before you start putting videos out publicly.
Well, and what's something that you got to realize also is that, and I've seen this starting to pop up more and more, is that things aren't going to be perfect.
No.
People mention about like ripping boards. Some people rip them down to an inch and then they put a full picket next to it. People like to pick on people like that.
Sure.
And so when they do that, we could not necessarily rip their heads off.
Sure.
But maybe point out like, hey man, that's not very much material there. That's going to fail.
Right.
Maybe you should consider doing it this way.
So constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism. We should also be more accepting on, taking that constructive criticism.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like both sides of it.
Sure.
You know,
you see both points.
I know when I start creating content, there's going to be some tolerances in there.
Sure.
There's going to be some faults.
Yeah.
But just getting out there and starting creating, that's
done is better than perfect is a statement that I've taken with me. We were at a video conference somewhere, social media video conference. It wasn't Social Media Marketing World. So I think it was Vid Summit, which is a YouTube conference.
Gotcha.
And that was the big kind of talking point of that whole show is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
If you try, and that can apply to content creation. It can apply to editing. It can get the content out into the world. I mean, obviously give it your best shot. I'm not saying play fast and loose with it, but also if it's at 85%, you send it. Right. You don't try to get that extra 15% of perfection out of it.
Well, I noticed whenever we were building my website, there were some of the pictures I submitted, and I was like, I could have done that a little better.
Sure.
But it's done. It's out there.
People can see it's out there, and you can recognize that.
I can recognize that.
So on the next one, you keep that in mind.
Keep doing better. Keep doing better.
And that applies.
But people can see that I have done it.
Sure.
And so, that it's done. Like you said, it's done.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, and I don't mean to. Done is better than perfect is probably a quote that could get taken out of context as well.
Well, but everything can be taken out of
within
context
reason. Right.
These days. I mean,
so but the thing is, and when I was first shooting videos, and actually the first videos I shot were for Ozark Fence, I would get really wrapped up in everything has to be done in one take perfectly. I can't, stammer. I can't say or ah, and I can't there could be no dead space. And so I would re-record videos all day and tell my wife. So I was recording them in my living room, and I had like a backdrop in the living room, and I'd set it up and I'd put a camcorder up. My wife would take the kids to the playground for a little bit. And so finally she would text, she's like, "We are coming home. Like, you had better be done because we are coming home." Like, "No, I've only gotten through one video." And it'd been like 6 hours or something.
Yeah.
That's where it struck home for me. The done is better than perfect. If I had not strived for the 100%, we could have gotten through a lot more content.
Well, but also like your content is a little more personal to you whenever you do have some of the imperfections, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So like if you did have your kids running around in the background, you're talking about some of that stuff, I mean,
it would have made me more personable. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And so, and I think that's what some of the people are wanting to see is that you are a person, that you're not a machine. And so just getting some content created is probably.
Well, and I think people pick up on that more now than ever, right? When something is really polished and really done super well, like, oh, this is a sales message.
Yeah.
Like, they really put a lot of time and effort into this because they want me to buy something.
Right.
And I liken it to like, what a Mercedes commercial. When I watch that commercial, I know for a fact they're trying to sell me a Mercedes.
Correct.
Now, they're barking up the wrong tree because not in my lifestyle to be driving Mercedes, right? But when I watch it, it's perfectly polished. I think that message would be better construed to hire an influencer to drive around a Mercedes and document it for a month or something, where they're going, "Oh, this is kind of nice. I don't really love this." I think you would sell more Mercedes with that video than you would a polished, sales message.
Well, I mean, what do you do whenever you see that commercial come on? Normally you turn the channel.
Yep.
Or you skip it.
Pick up a phone.
Yep.
And just start doodling for a while until you get done with that commercial. But I think we can apply that to this conversation is what I'm saying. And you're right. If you'd heard kids in the background, it probably would have been like, okay, got the family here. Mm-hmm. And so have I mentioned we're a family-owned fence company? Yeah. We really are a family. Probably would have made me more personable. Right. And that's the imperfections make you human. People form relationships with other people. Humans form relationship with other humans before they form relationships with businesses and corporations. Okay. Let's follow up on this. Divine says, "Hey, Joe and the Fence fam. Hope everyone's having a great weekend." Divine, thank you. Appreciate it. Tony's right on the money here. Execution is very important to content creation. Like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Absolutely correct. And Kenny says, "So what I'm hearing is done is perfect." Well, you forgot a few letters in there. Now, in Kenny's world, it probably is perfect.
Yeah.
Like knowing way he does things, but not everyone is a Kenny. Okay, like not everyone can operate at your level of just perfection. Done is better than perfect. That's the thing. Now, NC Kenny has a hard time with this because what he does is just great.
Right.
So he probably hasn't struggled, and he probably he's used to having 98% results the first try. Not all of us can do that.
No, not. I've learned from my struggles.
Yeah.
I've learned from my mistakes, and
Sure.
so it's made me who I am today. And it is just what it is.
And it makes you better for the next one.
It is.
You know what I mean? As long as it's work that you'd be proud of. Now, you can be proud of work that isn't 100%.
Correct.
Right. You can be proud of 85% work because, to the customer, that is 100%.
Right.
You'll see little things where you're like, should have done this a little bit better, or something like that. Whereas the customer's over the moon because the imperfections you're seeing are so minute that they will never pick up on it. And it doesn't affect the quality of the product. It's just little things that still kind of bug you.
Correct.
And when I was producing content, it was kind of my stammers or these pauses where I try to collect thoughts before I say them. That really bugged me, but to the viewer, it's not an imperfection, right? It's just part of a normal sounding conversation. Same thing applies with putting up product and anything like that.
Yeah, I remember I purchased some of Sean's tools, and I was so stoked. Like, I got this fence done, and I used the straightaway, so I had nice and straight across the top. My 2x4s weren't exactly perfect, because I was still learning a lot of it. And I posted, I was all excited about it and stuff, and the guys just ripped me apart online about my reveal and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I took constructive criticism from them.
Did you see the top though? Did you see the top? Yeah. The top is really good. Yeah.
So, yeah. But, I've learned from it.
Of course. And that's something that you do learn from.
The homeowner was just blown away. He was amazed.
Sure.
He was so happy that it wasn't brought out by panels, that it was stick built, and that we did it in a, timely manner. And, and so.
Well, and that you'll be there to stand behind your work.
And I'll stand by my work.
So that if in 5 years there is a problem with it, he knows that you'll be here continuing to build fence too. Because, and just to wrap this all back around, because you took the correct first steps.
Right.
You incorporated correctly, you got your insurance so if you hit one of these utilities, it is a massive one, that it doesn't just completely sink your business. And if this customer does need help in the future, that you'll be there to answer the phone.
Correct.
Guys, we did record a fence story where we talk about Alan's fence journey so far.
Yep.
Watch out for that. So what do you think? A couple weeks? Yeah. Keep an eye out in the next couple weeks for that. I enjoyed sitting down and just talking. I really enjoy that part of what this channel does, is sitting down and hearing other people's fence stories. We were in Oklahoma there at Grand Lake a month ago, maybe, for the AFA Midwest chapter meeting. And I got to sit down with a couple people and talk about their fence stories. There's one that's currently up right now if you haven't seen it. But that is one of the parts of this job I really enjoy, because that's another part of this information sharing.
Yeah.
Right. It's just hearing other people's stories, hearing their struggles and how they overcame them, seeing if I can apply that to my daily business, that sort of thing. We've got 2 minutes left, guys. If you got anything to say, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. If you got any last minute questions, be sure to let us know. We are on a bit of a schedule here, so we will be clocking out here in about a minute and a half. So type furiously. Alan, I want to say thank you for coming out. I've said it before, but I'll say it again, because I understand how much of a commitment it is to just carve out this much time to be here. To be here. You're here Thursday night. We went out, had dinner. You're here all day Friday. Obviously here, a good part of today, Saturday.
Yeah.
So carving out this time away from your business, away from your family, I know it's a commitment, and I just want to say I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done. From the YouTube to this trip, I've learned so much. I've reached out to you in the past and messaged you and asked you little questions, and you've always responded. And then when you had this competition, and then I jumped in and we had that phone chat. I was like, went back to I was like, I hope I win. And then when you called me, I was like, oh man, so I just appreciate everything.
Of course. And like we've talked about, I hope that you'll take this experience, apply it to your business, and watch your business grow.
I will.
And then once it has, turn around and maybe help a few other guys behind you.
For sure.
That's how this industry gets better, guys. Right. So we are all operating in the same industry, different markets, same industry. So if we can all push in the same direction, which is pushing this industry forward,
correct,
which my belief is through an open sharing of information, then we all get better from it. And I mean, we're all, maybe not all, I'm sure some of these are running, some people are just running this as a business to sell, but I think a lot of us are viewing this from a generational aspect where we want to have a business we can pass down to our children or our next generation, but also we can leave them with an industry that's stronger so that they don't go through some of the struggles that we went through coming up through it.
Correct.
So that's the dream, right? That's the dream. Jonathan says, I'll be seeing you guys next week. Looking forward to it. Jonathan, I cannot wait. Fence Genius, thanks. Fence Genius, thank you. It's been good chatting with you both on and offline. And we're back. Have I mentioned before that I'm a fence guy that tries to do technology? I clicked one thing. I went to click on Tony's and then comment, and then it went away. I think I clicked Leave Studio somehow. But we're back just in time to say it's time for us to leave. Guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, moving forward, these will be an hour instead of 2.5 hours. Try to condense the information a little bit more for you guys, make the podcast a little bit shorter to try to get through a little bit easier. Appreciate you guys tuning in or listening in if you're listening to the podcast. Alan, like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show and being a guest. Until next time, I'm Joe Everest, a fence expert, reminding you the good fences make good neighbors. And we'll see you next time.